welcome to the We Know Nothing Show end of season review. As always, it's a pleasure to have you all with us, all your beautiful smiley faces that I can't see, but I know that you're smiling with us. On tonight's show, we're just going to round up the season, probably look at the predictions that we've all got wrong from the beginning of the season, talk about the beloved Mighty Clarets, and and just other all topics related to football. As you can see from the bottom of the screen, all the way from his office in Barbados, coming via satellite link, is the one and only Daniel Jackson. Welcome to the show, Daniel, one of the regulars on the We Know Nothing show. Pleasure to have you as always, mates. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, cheers for having me back. It's not as luxurious as Barbados as what it makes out. I am in Trawden, but it's still lovely. So.
So welcome, DJ. And as always, couldn't do it without the hostess with the mostess. Youngie, welcome to the We Know Nothing show, pal. Pleasure to have you. Couldn't do it without you as always, my mate.
Cheers, mate.
So I'll hand over to the maestro. Enjoy, guys. As always, the last part, I know it's boring. I know I bug you when I say it, but any feedback or any pointers that you want to make to us or anything, keep it to constructive and non-negative and non-derogatory. That'd be brilliant. So enjoy the show, guys, and over to you, Youngie.
Yeah, thanks, Mark, for joining in tonight again, and DJ. So what we'll do is we'll have a quick look over the Premier League league table and see how it finished and how it panned out. Obviously, our team got relegated last game of the season, and we'll work out if that was the correct result across the full season in a minute. And then I think Harry Kane's been getting a bit of stick, so we'll have a little look at English strikers from there, and then look at the Championship, because that's where we're going to be playing next season, us Mighty Clarets, and see how we get on and where we think we're going to finish and whatnot. So if we kick it off, Premier League season over and done with, Burnley relegated, but let's look at the top of the league and then we'll work down. So Manchester City, duly right in my mind winners. What do you think?
I think it's a tough one to say in the fact winners outright in that sense. I think obviously we're going to come on to Liverpool in a couple of minutes, but I think you've got two teams that are light years ahead of the chasing bunch at the minute. So it's sort of like it's just Liverpool and Man City. And what I loved about it is that is City somehow, and I suppose that comes from the manager, but as soon as there was a sort of lapsing concentration or a result, that a bit of a dodgy result or whatever, they would just come back and absolutely smash the next 3 or 4 teams. And that's a sign of a winning mentality, and the fact that you're only as good as your last game in that sense. And there weren't too many games where Man City struggled for 2 or 3 games. So I think I wouldn't say probably outright winners in that sense, because I think they've probably got away with a few results, and obviously Liverpool slipped up. But I think they were, in the end, I think they were very, very close, very close.
Gage?
Yeah, for me, I think the best team won the league overall in terms of probably the style of play. I mean, Liverpool chased them all the way down to the final game, which is, exceptional considering how far back they were early in the season. I think there was a good 14-point gap at some stage. Yeah. To get it back to the last day is exceptional, and there was a squeaky bum moment for them when they were 2-0 down to Villa, weren't they? But they clawed it back, and fair play to them for doing so. I think over the course of the season they look the strongest. They look good on the eye to me when I'm watching it as a neutral. If I was to watch the two teams, I'd prefer to watch City over Liverpool. I don't dislike either of them, but I think on the day they're just strong, and they look too powerful in that league. But Mark's right in what they're saying; those two teams are far superior to the other teams in the league below them.
Yeah. they're not too far away from above Liverpool. Obviously, they finished 1 point above them. The goals against was exactly the same, and Manchester City got 5 more. But I think when you look at it away from that, Manchester City, they've got to be winning that Champions League sooner rather than later, haven't they? I think that's we know that them two teams are leaps and bounds above most teams in the Premier League at the minute, but that's the next step, is it?
Yeah, and I think them signing Haaland just propels them to another astronomical level. I think they've been crying out probably. I mean, it's weird, really, isn't it? Because I think when you look at it on the grand scheme of things, not to obviously go off topic a little bit, but when you look at it from the point of view of the season that's just gone, they didn't have an out-and-out striker, and the season before, Aguero didn't really play a lot of games. They played, I think the season before, I think it was the season where they played with that false nine like Spain used to do. So I think when you look at it, they've had 2 seasons where they've obviously done so well without a striker. Now, like DJ says, on the eye, they're unbelievable to watch. The chances they create. Now you've just gone and got one of the brightest shining talents in world football as a striker who loves to score goals, who's just going to stay in that middle of the goal. So, you look at it and you think that could be the missing piece to City. If they keep him fit, he's got some injury concerns over his body. Will he be able to hack it in the Premier League in the sense of it's a tougher league? But I think it's amazing that they've got, I think it's perfect. They've gone out and signed a striker like Haaland, young lad, hungry, keen to learn. But then it's sort of like going back to when Manchester United were battling Arsenal. Every time Man United went and signed a player, Arsenal would go and sign someone as well. So I'm fully expecting Haaland to be, obviously Haaland to Man City will propel this Darwin Núñez fella from Benfica to Liverpool. And I think that's what
looks like Liverpool might lose Mane in that same breath, really, which is, and Salah may go out the door yet. He hasn't signed a new contract yet, has he? So
I think he's got one more. I think he's got one more season, and he left before he can go on a free. I think he's said that he'll be staying for this season. So
has he? Well,
yeah, I think he's come out and said that. So
fair play to the top 2. They've done relatively well, haven't they? They've done really well against everybody else. We'll go European places. The only team that's been home and dry for weeks and weeks and weeks has been Chelsea, and because they've had that 3rd place sort of sewn up. A little bit lackluster in the last 5 games, but they had it home and dry, didn't they? Tottenham Arsenal, obviously it went down to the final day again, and Tottenham nicked it on that last. They were already in the driving seat, but nicked it on the last day. Neither team have been outstanding. Obviously, we're going to talk about your man Harry Kane. Tottenham, who didn't finish top goal scorer, it was his strike partner Son who finished top goal scorer with Salah. So I don't know. I think maybe it's him that takes a move somewhere. Maybe it's him that joins Liverpool, Man United, and propels. Man United, Arsenal, Tottenham, Chelsea. We're only missing a couple of players, and they could easily be in and around that Liverpool. Could be exciting times if they're bringing up the right players. So it really goes Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, and then you obviously had West Ham and Manchester United fighting it out for the last Europa League place, and was it the Europa Conference place, I think, in the end?
Yeah, the Rubicon Cup or something like that, I think it's called.
Obviously that went to West Ham, but fair play to them. They had a decent season, but when you look at it, Manchester United finished 11 points away from 5th place. It's a hell of a number, that, isn't it? But again, I will criticise Man United at this point because I think they made the wrong appointment partway through the season. I think
with Wreck-It Ralph?
They probably could have just left
Ollie in charge.
Ollie in charge until now, and then gone, right, thanks very much for your time. We're going to bring in a new manager.
Such a stupid appointment.
He didn't get any more out of the players. You know, let's look at Burnley, who finished finished third from bottom. When Dyche left, and you know, we've called for it slightly on here that it might be time for him to go. But when he did go, actually, Mike Jackson got something out of the team. So, and that's what a caretaker manager's there to do, and it didn't happen at Manchester United.
Yeah.
We'll go down the league. Leicester 8th, Brighton 9th. Not a bad turnaround for them. Wolves in 10th. And then the money grabbers of Newcastle in 11th. They could be a dark horse for a top 6 finish next season if they can bring in a lot of players, because that's what inevitably what they're going to do.
Mm.
And obviously, they were bottom, and on a look hadn't won a game in 10 or something at the start of the season. The only team ever to get out of relegation. But hell, you know, they put a bit of money into the club in that time, didn't they? So, and it completely turned around. Crystal Palace 12th, Brentford 13th, Villa 14th. I suppose for them, if you ask me, the money that they've pumped into their club over the last few as well. Gerald's got to do something there. Southampton, I would have them as one of my favourites to get relegated next season. Everton, they'll have a new tide next season. They'll be mid-table, if not a little bit higher, I would think. Under Frank, they've been arguably the best team that have underperformed this year, I would say. Then Leeds, then Burnley. Watford have been relegated for some time now, haven't they? But so that's the Premier League season. Obviously, we lost on the last game of the season, as well as and Leeds winning, which didn't really help that situation. And it's definitely a bit gutting.
Do you know when you say it? You'll get like that. That's probably. I know this is like probably a little bit like soft pain emotional, but like when you say it like that, how you went down the table then, like to actually fully accept that we've actually gone down, and to actually hear it, we finished 18th. It's gut wrenching. It's absolutely soul destroying.
I think over the season we've arguably deserved to go down. I don't think.
No, I agree. Yeah.
I can't think of many more teams that finished from 17th upwards that we were worse. That Newcastle in the first half of the season we were better than. I can't think of anyone above us that were worse than us this season. Really?
No, I think I agree. Yeah, I think I've got to agree with it. But obviously, and I'd like both of your opinions on this one, because I think I said this a couple of weeks ago to one at Lads at Footer. For me, even though I'm absolutely devastated with going down, because I think, you know, the way we went down, i.e. scoring late against Newcastle and Brentford equalising against Leeds, I'm glad in the sense of, for emotions and gut-wrenching feeling, that we didn't equalise against Newcastle and then Leeds scored that winner at 94th minute, because that would have killed us even more.
Yeah.
That would have. I know it sounds stupid to say, but I think to get yourself back in that game at 2-2 and everyone would be bouncing, and then not so long after that Leeds went and scored, I think it would have haunted us a lot more than going down with a whimper like we did. I think you are right. Over the course of the season, we know like what us feel like when it comes to football. We know how passionate we are. We know what the club means to us as a whole. But I weren't even sold when we beat Everton at home, because we were crap that night. We just got lucky because Everton were bobbins. We got very lucky.
I think I agree. I wasn't sold at that point. I would have been sold if we'd have got the next few results going our way, but other things didn't fall into place, and I don't think we deserve we didn't deserve to stay up at the end of the day, and that's as simple as that, really. Could Dyche have gone earlier and then brought in a new manager instead of having a caretaker for so long? Maybe.
What do you think?
Matt Jackson.
You wouldn't have had a caretaker manager for longer. I think, Dyche should have gone longer than when he got the chop, long ago before the chop, if I'm honest. I said at the beginning of the season, probably if you look back on the pre-season when we predicted the sides to go down, I think we all agreed, or 2 out of 3 of us agreed, Norwich, Watford and ourselves would go down based on the fact that Dyche was still in charge and the players were not good enough. That was before they signed Cornet, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
The players that we had on board were not good enough to stay in that division. And so it turned out changing the style of play obviously helped when Dyche left, and it gave us a new impetus. And you thought the fans started to believe, didn't they? Especially the home games against Southampton and against Wolves. A new atmosphere. There was a buzz around the place, and you thought, we could do it here. And then, I remember the day against Newcastle clearly. I was driving down to the turf thinking, you know what? I don't think Burnley will get a result today, but I didn't think Leeds would either. I thought not that we'd get it. Well, I thought we could get away with it to a certain extent, but the position is because of the whole season, not what Mike Jackson's done in the last few games. Credit to him. He's coming with,
I agree. I think
not much experience, and he's changed the way we've played for the better. But probably too little, too late.
But and that may well have, his experience may well have cost us in an odd game here and there, where someone with a little bit more experience that came in and played that style may well have changed their formation against a different team. So, like the Tottenham game, for instance, we were in the game for a vast amount of that game, and then
we were.
We didn't get a draw would have been a happy point, I think, and probably a fair result, I would think, for our style of play and how we play football. But look, it's done now. We can't change anything. That is what it is, and we're going to touch on the Championship in a few minutes because, albeit, yes, we've been relegated. Are we going to get who's the new manager coming in? Are we going to get new players in? We know that it seems like there's going to be quite a few exiting. Where do you think we're going to finish and things like that? We'll come to that in a minute. One thing I do want to touch on is, I mentioned him earlier, is obviously England are playing in the Nations League and not performing great. Lost 1, drawn 1. Harry Kane's come under a bit of stick. And I just want you to think about your top 3 Premier League strikers of all time. And then I'll give you the top 3 Premier League strikers of all time based on goals per game ratio. And we'll see where your players sort of fit in.
We're talking about England in Premier League history.
No, just English players,
just
because
English.
he's getting a bit of stick for playing with England. He's not performed well this season. I think he's still got a lag from the Euros, and I think if you look at a number of English players that played in the Euro squad, there ain't many of them that I can think of off the top of my head that have had stellar seasons.
I suppose.
Look at Harry Maguire last season to Harry Maguire this season. You'd think it was his blind stepbrother that played this season.
And he didn't have a bad Euros, or did he?
Well, he didn't have a bad season last year. He didn't have a bad Euros, and then he's come back from the Euros and he's lost all confidence. And I don't know whether, getting beat in the manner that we got beat in the Euros made, change that for him. I think it had an impression on all of them. Look at Marcus Rashford and people like that who were involved and around the squad and stuff. They've all had a bit of a torrid year. So, if you can both think about quickly your top 3 English strikers of all time, not to leave out the likes of Jeff Hurst and Jimmy Greaves and Gary Lineker for one, and just have a quick think, maybe jot them down, and then I will give you your, let's see where you go.
English strikers.
Right, so shall I start? I've written them down. This is in my lifetime that I can
Absolutely, mate. Go for it.
I've gone Alan Shearer, Gary Lineker, and Wayne Rooney.
I like them.
Yeah.
Only because of memory and watching them over the years.
Yeah.
In an English, more so your Shearers and Rooneys. And I've never really come across them being heavily criticised for England. Maybe Rooney. So I don't understand why Harry Kane has been criticised apart from possibly performances from, I remember the Euros, he just didn't look fit at it. But I'd rather have a half-fit Harry Kane in my team than, I don't know, a bench warmer in a striker, possibly. But those are my three that I've written down.
Shearer, Lineker, and Wazza.
Yeah.
And that's in your lifetime, yeah.
Well, maybe not Lineker, but
yeah. I'll go with the first two. What you said, Shearer and
you
Rooney.
Can't copy off me.
Okay. Well, we're going to say Shearer and Rooney anyway. It's a tricky one really because I think like English strikers, it's a difficult one. Like Sheringham weren't prolific, but he was a phenomenal footballer. Les Ferdinand's again, Andrew Cole. Andy Cole had quite a few good seasons. Les Ferdinand weren't really, like say, prolific, but he were really good at his trade. It's a tough one, is that? Crouchy as well. Crouchy had a good goal scoring record, didn't he? To be fair to him. I tell you, you've stumped.
We're also thinking about these players playing in the Premier League and but
Premier
not
League
just for
England,
but yeah. So playing in the Premier League and as well at the same time as so English strikers playing in the Premier League.
Right. So Shearer, Rooney, and tell you what, it's a tricky one, real tricky one. Michael Owen.
I was going to say no. You might mention Michael Owen. So, I think it's undue bit of stick for an English striker in Harry Kane, really, because he's probably going to go on and break all records. He's going to catch Alan Shearer, I would think, at Premier League level. If he stays in the Premier League, that is. He's still got a few years left and he should probably catch him. But, I
think he will.
I'll give you the top 5 actual stats for the Premier League English players. So you've got.
What is Darren Bent's up there?
He's a bit further down the list, but he's still in the list. But Harry Kane, he's played 208 Premier League games and scored 140 goals in the Premier League, which is
it's not
0.67 per game. So, and then Alan Shearer played 441 games with 260 goals. So, Harry Kane's got 120 goals to go to catch him. Can he do that in the time that he's got left? I don't know. He might.
How old is he now? 29.
Yeah.
You've got to get 30 goals a season on that tally, haven't you, for the remaining 4 seasons to 33, 34. He's going to get 34. If he'd have signed for Man City year before, he would be there, wouldn't
he? He might have got that many goals this season. So
yeah.
So it'd be some record if he got to that, wouldn't it?
Number 3 on the list. He didn't get mentioned in our team.
Jermaine
Ian
Defoe.
Wright.
Oh, Ian Wright.
213 goals for 113. 213 games for 113 goals. So just over half.
I didn't mention him on the basis of him not having enough England caps. But
that's what I would. Yeah,
it's phenomenal, and he's obviously a favourite of ours.
Yeah.
Right.
Jamie Vardy next, 208 games with 103 goals, so he's almost bang on that.
Yeah, he's another one. He didn't have enough caps, so he got called up too late in his career and didn't get in the.
He didn't start his career. He started his career a lot like Ian Wright late though, didn't he? That's
late, very late. Yeah, very late. Very late starter.
I don't know. I think with an England manager, it's first fits, isn't it?
What, like Gareth Bowgate?
Yeah, like if he first fits, then you stay in the side. If it doesn't fit, and no matter what he says about picking people on form, he'll occasionally pick that one person on form. But Conor Cody
He's
got in the
reverted to
side.
type.
We should have definitely. I know James Tarkowski's going to leave, but he's been a hell of a figure, not just for Burnley, for the last couple of seasons, and for him not even to get called up to play Nations League football. But watch, he'll sign for Everton and start getting calls up. It wouldn't surprise me. And then number 5 on the list.
He's better than Tyrone Mings, isn't he?
I think so. I think he's better than Conor Cody as well, to be perfectly honest.
So I think he's similar to Conor Cody. I think they both got the same traits of they like to get the ball down and play. But I think
Tarks can pass the ball as well. He's got a long pass in him.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, Tyrone Mings, though. Absolutely. I can't even begin to explain him.
No.
Number 5 on the list, Michael Owen. 306 games and 50 goals. So he's one of them players that always stands out for me. I think he was a quality striker. It's just a shame with injuries, wasn't it, really? And then the list goes Andy Cole, Robbie Fowler, Les Ferdinand, Wayne Rooney, and Darren Bent. That should finish your top 10. So
you weren't too far off, were we, really, with what we said?
No.
Darren Bent.
I just think...
Oh, yeah, I've said Darren Bent, a good goal-scoring record.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Jermaine Defoe's not on that list.
Jermaine Defoe is down in 18th. Played 496 games for 162 goals.
Where's Sheringham?
Sheringham is way down. I think I've seen him somewhere. Teddy Sheringham's in 15th. He's got 418 goals. Sorry, 418 games for 146 goals, but he played across 2 clubs, didn't he? He was at Tottenham and then went to United.
And West Ham as well, weren't he?
And West Ham as well. So anyway, that rounds that off. One note I did make was a look forward to where you think we'll be at the World Cup. Obviously, we're way early yet with this show, but just one quick word on what you think we'll get out of the World Cup. I think, Euros, we did well. Where can we go next as an England squad?
Get nowhere.
I think we'll qualify from the group. That to me is the easiest group going.
Yeah,
qualify from that. No worries. It's just who we get beyond that, and see what he's going to pick.
Squad he picks, really, isn't it?
3 months of the beginning of the season, and then he's got to choose wisely from there. I think Southgate's been criticised when it comes to the bigger teams that he don't pick the right team or we underperform. So my concern is when we go to Qatar and play a big team, I think we'll get found out based on current performances. And when we get to those semis or finals where, you think something's going to come good out of it and it doesn't happen.
We're going to play bigger teams though, aren't we? That's the thing. The Euros, we've played big teams, but the teams that will end up playing will be on that next level. Germany, arguably, they should have won the other night, and we shouldn't have got anything out of the game. We nicked a penalty, and we got some out of the game. And I think, they're the teams that, if you're playing them in this sort of competition, we've got to stop saying it's a glorified friendly, and we've got to start taking a competition like the Nations League now seriously, and start using it as a groundwork for the actual competitions, and use friendlies to maybe build people. But when you go into competitions, go and smash people and let the fans have something to cheer about. Get a bit of excitement going into the World Cup. A World Cup that there's not going to be that many English people that travel to, being where it is. I don't think.
I think the timing of it's all wrong from a nation's perspective as well. You've got your Euros last year, which was brought forward, and then you've got a full Premier League season. And then for these Premier League players to go straight into a Nations League, if I was a player, for England and the Premier League, I'd be like back something. I can't be arsed anymore, and that's possibly where the performances are coming from a little bit.
They all look like they want to be on holiday, don't they?
They need that break. Come back fresh for Premier League because they've got to go to in November. I think the timing is all wrong for me.
They haven't got long either, have they? They haven't got. It's not. It's one of the short turnarounds before the season starts again. So
that's the point. And I think the problem that we've got with England at the minute is that we've got a manager that is he's far too cautious. He would rather, and I know this might sound stupid to hear, but he would rather grind out a 1-0 or grind out a draw with a big team. I mean, I find that he's too cautious. And look at some of the talent that's coming through in our England, the young lads that are coming through. I mean, the other night when Bellingham come on, for me, Jude Bellingham starts every England game for me because I think he's absolutely phenomenal. But I think when he came on the other day, he showed a bit of a maturity at 18, 19, however old he is. He was at one point, and this is what I mean with the sort of negative tactics from Southgate. At one point, he was playing centre half or covering right back, and that's because he was playing a defensive midfield position, something that he doesn't do for Dortmund. And I get that when you go to I get that when you represent your country and stuff, and when you go to international duty, it's going to be different to your club because you're not playing with the same players. You've not got the same continuity with the players. You haven't got the same formation. I get that, but you've got to let them shackles off sometimes because that talent we've got. If I was an opposing player and I'm looking at the England team sheet and I'm seeing two holding midfielders, I'm thinking, well, they're worried about us because they're playing two holding midfielders. Whereas if I see a 4-3-3, but it's a 4-1-2-3. So you've got one holding midfielder, two like counter-attacking midfielders, and then you've got your three in front. And then players in front, you've got Rice doing your holding, you've got Bellingham, and just speaking hypothetically, maybe like a Mason Mount who don't really impress me in the England shirt, but then you've got that, and then in front you've got Grealish, Foden, and Kane. All of a sudden, you're looking at that front five and you're thinking, hang on a minute, we could be in trouble here. And this is I think that's the problem with me. He's far too negative. And he's reverted to type of I won't pick players off reputation. And he's reverted to type, and he's done that for the last God knows how many squads. So I'm a bit disappointed by him, but I think he'll make it to the World Cup. If he's not cautious, we have a fantastic chance of winning that World Cup. Fantastic chance. But if he's too cautious, then I think like DJ said, I think we'll get found out big time.
And no, I agree. I think we have to look at him and let him have this World Cup because I think the year after that we look at someone that is gonna it's got to be an English manager to me, but somebody that's gonna blood these young up and coming because when we went to the Euros and we nearly won it, I thought, wow, like this could be the squad. But actually, I think the squad is maybe two and get your Jack Grealishes, your Fodens, your Bellinghams, and hopefully a couple of young centre halves. Then a few older heads around that squad. Your likes of Harry Kane's and stuff. And in a couple of years, maybe that's when we hit the peak of our footballing ability for the UK, for England, really.
Yeah.
So I think let's touch on the Championship quickly, and then we'll move on to on a little bit more about Burnley and who we're going to get in as new manager, players, and who's going to leave. So Championship next season is a stacked division, to be fair. And I think I've spoken about this before when we've played in the division, that it's probably one of the best leagues that there is. Because there's a lot of good players, not necessarily the best players that you'll get, but a lot of good players of a similar standard. And there aren't too many teams that run away with it that often. it's all jam-packed, and then obviously you get somebody that dives into the playoffs in the end. So next season, the league is made up of Birmingham, Bastards, Blackpool, Bristol, obviously Burnley, Cardiff, Coventry, Huddersfield, Hull City, Luton, Middlesbrough, Millwall, Norwich, Preston, Queen's Park Rangers, Reading, Rotherham, Sheffield United, Stoke City, Sunderland, Swansea, West Brom, Watford, and Wigan. Just noticeable names that pop out, decent sort of names that are in there.
I'm not sure bastards is the correct terminology, but I get where you're coming from on that.
Blackburn.
That's what you meant, right?
Yeah. Swansea, West Brom, Watford, Sunderland will be a decent team next season, I would think, because they'll put a few bob in. Norwich depends how they go, but should be a decent team. But one thing I want to do is touch on how good it's going to be as a Burnley fan and the local derbies. Bastards, Blackpool, Preston, again, Wigan. How good is that, Eric? How good is that?
Eight derbies.
Sorry, let me do it again. Blackburn, Blackpool, Wigan, Preston.
8 derbies.
I'm excited as a fan. I know it's sad we've gone down from the Premier League. We've had good 6 seasons in there and it's been great, but there's a lot of shorter journeys as a fan to go to away days. Yeah. And away days, for me, over the course of my lifespan following them, away days are much better in the lower leagues. They are,
absolutely,
without doubt. Yeah, the quality of football is not as good, but sometimes as a fan, that doesn't matter. And having these local rivalries again in the Championship, I think is great. For a fan perspective, it's just a case of, because we're losing quite a lot of players in the summer and, new manager on hold at the minute, it's a bit of how we're going to compete in this division that worries me a little bit.
Yeah.
But as a fan, I'm excited to get on the turf and get on them local away games and further afield. I think it's exciting, but it concerns me a little bit as things stand with the state of our team and the manager still not being named. But I'm more excited than cautious.
I think it's a good point that you're making there, in the sense of the buzz around watching a local derby and the atmosphere of having that rivalry between the local so-called Lancashire wannabes who live in our shadow at the moment. I think for me, I think what's going to be good is, because we've not done it for a few seasons and it's been a bit of a weird sort of feeling, is I think we're more than capable of going on a run of winning a few games, and that'll be good in the sense of getting that winning mentality back in the club as well, because we've not had it properly for a long time, really, where we've got, the season we went back up, I think we're at 26 games, we went unbeaten half of the season, something like that, something crazy.
23.
That way, 23 games unbeaten from Boxing Day. I think that's a unbelievable.
That wins you the league, that, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's what I mean. It's just getting that mentality back of your fans as well, seeing your team win games, and getting that buzz for it as well. Like you said, the local derbies. See, I look at it from the other side of that, DJ. I'm not concerned in regards to players and the club. I don't think it's going to be as bad as we're making out, because you look at it from, I think.
Take time.
Well, hang on, Mark. You look at you're losing the span of your team first and foremost. Pope's going to go, and then you've got your 2 centre halves, Tarky and Ben Mee, that are leaving. If they'd have stayed where they were, which was unlikely anyway, because Pope, England international, Tarky wants an England career, Ben Mee's kind of been there, done it, and probably wants a fresh challenge. If they're in the Championship with us, yeah, I'd be confident. But we're losing the span of our team there, I think, and that's where
Jack Cork's now going as well.
There's quite a few on the list that are outgoing.
Yeah,
and they can be replaceable.
I want to touch on that. I want to touch on that in a second. I want to do one more thing before we move on to getting into this big debate about new manager, new players, and players leaving, because I think that could be a good 10, 15-minute session on that. I really want to quickly ask you now a prediction, and then just before the start of the season, and we've seen players go in and out because we're going to be watching like hawks, I'm going to get your prediction again. And then at the end of the season, I'll be able to say, right, how close you were. So, Mark, I want league winners, who's going to finish second and who's going to win the playoffs. Deej, you've got a think about it, because Mark's going first on this one. So who wins the league?
Half an hour, so should be all right.
Who wins the league? Who finishes second? And who wins the playoffs? I know the playoffs is a bit of a guesswork, but it's all guesswork. But
I would probably playoffs. I'm going to say Watford.
DJ shaking his head then. I just looked up and I thought I saw a head shake.
No, I'm not agreeing with that one.
I think we will go up automatically. Not necessarily league winners, but I think we'll go back up automatically. I think possibly the team that'll.
So you're telling me Burnley second, yeah?
Yeah. I think possibly the team that'll win a division could be Norwich. Just with some of the players that they'll probably get in, but I do think we'll go straight back up.
On to you, Deej.
Tough. Top two in playoffs.
Yeah.
Right, top two, Norwich, I agree. Dean Smith, I think he's the man to take them there. Second, Middlesbrough, if Chris Wilder's in charge.
Wow. There you go.
Playoffs.
Surprising.
Playoffs.
If this don't start with a B and end in a Y, I'm a bit concerned.
It's not. Sheffield United.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I'm going with that. I was right last year with relegation. I'll try that one.
So we'll get another little go at this before the season starts, because obviously players signing and stuff like that gives it away. I've just been doing mine. So I've got a dark horse for the winners. I think if they recruit well, they might get there. So I've got West Brom playoffs.
No chance.
I've got Watford second.
No.
And I've got Swansea winning the league.
Swansea?
Yeah, I think they're going to come again. I think it's a time for a Swansea to come again.
Just do me a favour. Get that bottle up. What's in that bottle? That's not just orange juice. It's so much stronger than that. I tell you. Swansea?
Yeah, I think you might see a Swansea come again. But I'm hoping I'm wrong on these predictions.
110% changing that. That will 110% change before that season starts. I'm telling you.
But we can all have a laugh at that. So yeah, well done you two, looking at odds and picking favourites to go back up to Premier League and choosing them for top two. Well done.
Are they actually favourites?
Yeah, favourites to hit. Favourites.
I didn't look at Bucky's odds there. I just went with managers.
Yeah, I just went.
And the players.
What were your two favourites to go back up?
Who?
No, you put Norwich first, mate. Norwich your odds on first. We're third favourites, I think.
Right. Okay.
Third or fourth favourites.
Middlesbrough second favourites.
Middlesbrough, I don't know. I can probably find it out, but off the top of my head, I don't think they're close to going up.
Where are Swansea in this reckoning?
Swansea are third favourites.
Honestly, I'm telling you, I'll be asleep at middle of the night tonight, and I'll just sit up like Undertaker and be like, Swansea.
That is a crazy bet.
That's. I tell you what, though, on the Win or Nothing show, we all took a little bit of money, and we might have put Swansea on. We might have been like millionaires.
No, keep me money where it is. I think.
I don't know. It's a strange one, that young girl. I'll give you that, son. Fair play to you for.
Let's have a look. See if I can get view full odds. Okay, so
it's a win division. Yeah.
Norwich favourites, Watford second, followed by West Brom, followed by Sheffield. Yeah, followed by Sheffield United, Burnley, then Middlesbrough are fifth, sixth favourites.
No way should Watford be second favourites. No way.
Huddersfield.
They got a manager in from Forest Green. They've released 27 players off the books. There's no way Norwich are going to go up automatically.
Norwich? You mean Watford?
Did I say Norwich? Watford, yeah.
Huddersfield.
I know nothing, clearly. Yeah, Watford.
Followed by Swansea.
Where's Swansea?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th. 8th favourite. So that almost guarantees them playoffs.
That's where Bastards finish.
Exactly.
You're nowhere near.
It's not where they started the season on their odds, though, did they? They were one of the favourites to get relegated last year with Bastards.
Yeah, but still.
So go anyway, opposite end of that, Rotherham, Reading, Wigan, Birmingham, Blackpool are all favourites to have the chop.
Disagree with the Birmingham one.
Odds on. So Sky Bet have got Norwich at 7s, Watford at 13-2, West Brom at 9s, Sheffield at 9s, us at 10s. So yeah, in fact, Middlesbrough might be above us.
Where's this West Brom coming from? West Brom.
It's been heavily linked that they're going to be a decent outfit next season, but there you go.
Under Cheesy Chips and the Brazilian Jeff Horsfield.
That's it. So anyway, we've got our predictions. We're going to have a go at them at the start of the season, and then let's just touch on Burnley. New manager, expected to come in over the next week or so, all being well. Vincent Kompany. It's a strange one because his managerial career hasn't started off flying. You know, he started off at Anderlecht and then decided to be a player again, and then manage them this season. They've done all right, but again, all being well, I think maybe he can bring some players in with him if that happens. Let's see what's your thoughts on Vincent Kompany being the next Burnley manager?
I'm happy. The link actually came out 2 days before the final day of the season against Newcastle.
Yeah,
and I had a feeling that he'd be announced if we stayed in the division around that time, because you mentioned Sky Bet. Sky Bet had him at 1-20 favourite before the Newcastle game. Yeah. So it's when odds like that happen, it tends to be that somewhere behind the scenes know that he's incoming and it's agreed. 1-20 is silly stat, so someone knows behind the scenes that he was incoming. And I think that's took a U-turn because of our relegation a little bit. I think things have been delayed because possibly Vincent Kompany might not want to manage us in the Championship. I don't know. I'd like him to. He's still heavily favourite. I think he will join.
Yeah, I think it was probably other little things. He probably had a pre-contract agreed, and in that pre-contract it stated relegation clauses and things like that, and then actually we're relegated, so now he's got to change the contract, hasn't it?
I could have seen the club on the last day of the season, potentially, if we won it, stayed up, them announcing it on the ground or something like that. I think it would have been signed, sealed, done. And I think pending our relegation happened, and it's took time. I'm not understanding what is taking so long with the managerial appointment.
I think really said it's work permit, haven't they? I think that's what's come out over the last few days through Sky and other sources have said.
Yeah,
it's a work permit, but I can't imagine Manchester City would have taken this long to get his work permit when he signed for them. So
no, that's it. That's another thing. I don't understand that side of things. But for me, yeah, I'm happy. I think the name brings signings, if I'm honest. He'll be tried and tested as a manager, of course.
Yeah.
You know, why not? Why not take a punt of him? But I think the name brings players, brings enthusiasm to the club. It'll bring a bigger fan base, I think, because of the name. And he's got good links. He'll have good links with the Man City youth setup, young players. His style of play will be totally different to Sean Dyche. I'm on board with him coming in, give him a chance, because there'll be, you know, I can't name anyone off the top of my head that'll do any better than what we've got. You know, we got a caretaker manager in Mark Jackson that, didn't raise high levels at the likes of Tranmere beforehand. So why not take a punt on Vincent Kompany? I'm all for it. Bring him in ASAP.
And that's our resident, actual goes on the turf every more than once a season and don't illegally stream it.
More than once a season? I'm a season ticket holder.
Yeah, I know, but you still only make it on half a season.
What's he talking about? I've been following him for over 25 years.
I'm telling you, that bottle, there's more than orange juice in that bottle. I'm telling you, there's vodka in it.
Yeah, there is.
This is really strong.
This is the guy that used to sneak us on games at half time.
It's triple strength.
I think, looking at this, just to sort of put my 2 pennies in there, I disagree with you a little bit there, Deej. Controversial.
Not having it.
I think the reason why it's taking so long is purely down to his backroom staff. The rumours that I'm hearing from, people within the club or people that are associated with people in the club is that it took a backward step because I think 1 or 2 of his backroom staff couldn't get work permits. So he's had to rejig his backroom staff. I think that's why it's taking so long. I think the reason why it's probably taking so long is because you've got to look at it from the point of view of, I know this might sound a little bit stupid to say, but you've got to look at it from the point of view of there's a lot of stuff going on at Burnley in the back end at the minute that probably fans aren't seeing and probably maybe getting a bit frustrated because there's no transparency. But I look at it from the flip side of the coin of there's contracts to be sorting in the back end. There's a kit to be released. There's obviously planning for life in the Championship, budgets. And on top of that, you've got getting a new manager in who I think is signed, sealed and delivered. I think it's a done deal. I think he's agreed to come. But I think if for instance, and I'll put this, obviously, this is what I said to somebody on Twitter. If Alan Pace came out 2 weeks ago and said, we are pursuing Vincent Kompany as our new manager for Burnley Football Club, if that deal didn't come to fruition, as Burnley fans, the first thing we would have done is persecuted the chairman for not getting the deal over the line. So I don't think the club are under no obligation to release any statement to say what's going on. I get where fans are coming from in the sense of they'd like a bit more transparency. I get that. But I do think
could have come out and just said, it's a shame that we've been relegated, blah, blah, blah. But our finances...
They probably will do in time.
But for me, that's where they needed to do that.
Yeah, I get that. And that's probably his inexperience of being the chairman of a football club.
Finances are in order. Yes, we have to pay this back, but actually, we've got this, that, and the other, and we can... He did say that for about 6 weeks before the end of the season. He did say, if relegation comes, we will have to adjust, but we're fine. We've got money in the bank. We're okay. There's money there and stuff. But touching on the players, and stuff, no, let's not do that yet. I want to talk about the manager first.
Okay.
It is if you can remember back Sean Dyche signing, there was a lot of skeptics about, and I think probably the three of us sat here were like, "Where's that name come from?" Like, look what he's for the club. But still, at that point, I wasn't excited about what's he going to bring, who's he going to bring in. And don't get me wrong, he's made some players, some average players play really well, and made some good players play great. You know, you like to see your Danny Ings, especially strikers, your Danny Ings and Andre Gray, a couple that ping off there. But then he brought in he had some players that were already at the club and propelled them forward. You Ben Mee, for instance, he played left back to start off with and couldn't pass a ball with his left foot.
Worst left back I've ever seen.
Oh, he was awful. And then he's changed him into this. I'd honestly offer him another 2-year deal tomorrow, because I think he's there or thereabout. He's the player that you'd want, especially in the Championship now. But for me, the Vincent Kompany coming in, it excites me. I'm excited to be a Burnley fan. And a Burnley fan who is far away. You know, like I said a minute ago, I've made one game this season, and actually it was an away game. I haven't been on turf this season because I haven't been up north or close enough to Burnley to make a game. Where Deej goes on, that's what I was saying. Deej goes on more than one game a season. He goes on every game every season. And makes a few away games as well, because it's his favourite thing. And that's where I went. I went away game, and the atmosphere was immense. And so, I want that buzz back. You know, I think the fans want that buzz back, and hopefully signing Vincent Kompany will, which sounds odd. Well, we're signing Vincent Kompany. He's not going to play for us. He's going to manage us. But
could do with more with centre halves for losing.
Yeah, he might have to be drafted in eventually. Yeah,
you know, there was a few other names floating about early on. You know, your Rooney's, and I think Joy Barton was linked at one point, and I was like, I wouldn't have knocked if he was one of the people that accepted it. Joy Barton wouldn't have been a far shout for me as well, just because not necessarily the players that he's going to bring in, but just his style that he plays and his aggression that he's got on the sideline. I think it was great to see him in a shirt. So Vincent Kompany coming in, the stature that he's got with clubs like Manchester City, and players that he's going to be able to bring in, like you've already touched on, should and hopefully help us, if not next season, the season after, fire straight back up, or a year after, come straight back up. New players leaving. Look, it's a tough one. A number of players are out of contract, and maybe that is down to Sean Dyche, and maybe that was his planning, that he wanted to see these players potentially leave. And, you know, like you said, some players wanted to go out the door. Your likes of Tarkowski, you know, someone's going to have to buy Nick Pope if he wants to leave. Fair play to him if he does, because he's been phenomenal for us for the last 3 seasons.
Absolutely.
But Vincent Kompany will hopefully bring some players in. New players coming in. You guys are going to be more on the pulse of being more local to Burnley than I am, being this far away and watching what appears on social media and stuff. And you can never really believe everything that you see on social media. What have you heard? What have you got? Have you got any sort of pre-gossip about players coming in, or is it all just quiet? Obviously, like I mentioned a minute ago, the chairman's not necessarily come out and mentioned loads about stuff yet, has he?
Yeah, there's a couple. There's the lad from Man City, England under 21 captain, centre half. I can't remember his name. Michael Taylor-Bells, I think it is, off the top of my head. He's been linked with him because he was with Anderlecht for the first half of last season, but got injured and finished the season.
I think if it was the player that was at Anderlecht, he took a knock, didn't he, and came back to City.
So I think he could be definitely one. There's a lad called Josh Cullen, who plays at Anderlecht, centre midfielder, young Irish lad.
Yeah,
apparently really good player. And they were a striker as well, but I can't remember his name. They were the 3 what have really jumped out recently. We've seen I saw a link which I was quite not surprised with, but I thought, you know what, he's actually been in. I think he was in the team of the season for the last 2 seasons, Championship. Jed Wallace from Millwall. Free transfer. I think team at season for the past 2 seasons. Winger, tricky, good, decent little player. I people might say this is stupid, but I take Gary Cahill on a 1-year deal, free transfer, experience in the group. I think in regards to losing.
What
the
about
players,
Harry Lansbury? He's got to be linked again, has he?
Well, I've seen the link. We're linked with Andrew Driver and Derek Reardon.
Come on, DJ, I'll crack a little smile at that one.
Come on, DJ, we've got to sign them eventually.
They're well in the 40s, them lot.
Yeah, I think when you look at it from the point of view of and you made a good point earlier, Youngie, about it when you were saying the players that were potentially looking at maybe losing were potentially out of the fold and in the cold with Darch, and I think company may come in and breathe new life into it. I think the fact that you've got Jay, who has signed a new 2-year deal, Cork has got a 1-year extension triggered.
He hasn't triggered. No,
I thought he triggered after the Newcastle game.
No, hasn't triggered. They haven't triggered his 1-year contract extension. He can leave on a free.
I read that. There was something after the Newcastle game that he needed to play enough games for it to be triggered.
Yeah.
And I don't think that turned out to be the case for some reason.
But I still think this is the point I'm making. Like when you were talking about DJ, you said it earlier, when you're saying about losing the spine of your team. I get 100%. I get what you're saying. I don't think Pope will go.
I think some people may change their mind if Vincent Kompany comes in the door.
That's what I'm saying. I think Kompany will talk these players round. Like I don't think Nick Pope will go, because the reason why I don't think Nick Pope will go is because Paul Merson said something on Soccer Saturday a few weeks ago, and he does my Eddie Merson because he talks garbage. He said about Nick Pope in the World Cup year, Nick Pope needs to go somewhere being number 2 for a season, being understudied to these top class world class keepers. And I'm like, well, Nick Pope should be classed as a world class keeper with the way he's played for the last 3 seasons for Burnley. He's kept us in that division on his own, some of them games. I
agree, but that's done nothing for Henderson, has it?
No, that's what I mean. Henderson.
All they say about Henderson at Man United is he needs to move to get first team football. Well,
exactly.
You've got a keeper who's playing first team football. You've got a keeper at Everton who's playing first team football. It's a toss-up between and Arsenal, and it's a toss-up between them 3 on who you would pick as your England goalkeeper.
That's why I don't think he'll leave, because he's not Nick Pope. If he goes as a number 1. He don't go as a number 2, and that's why I don't think he'll go, because I don't think. I saw a link with Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest aren't going to pay 40 million because he's going to take 35-40 million to take Pope away from Burnley. I think.
Why won't they though? Their number 1 keeper has come out this week. I can't remember his name. I can see him clearly. Has come out and doesn't want to play for Forest anymore. So that leaves them without a number 1 goalkeeper. If they've the money to spend and want to stay in the division, of course they'll have a lot of money. They've just been promoted to Premier League.
But are they going to spend it? Are they going to spend?
I think it depends if they do a Burnley and spend it on the back of the house over the front of the house as much, because we didn't do a lot of big spending, did we, when we got to Premier League? We spent it a lot on the training ground and stuff like that to get that and get the academy to a higher standard, which I believe has just failed its assessment.
Which is always good. I don't think Nick Pope. If Nick Pope's going to go, he's going to go to. He has to go as number 1. But like you were saying, though, Youngie, and I think you alluded to it as well, DJ. I think the fact that you've got Vincent Kompany coming in, some of these players that were out in the cold under Darch could all of a sudden then be prospering in the plans of Vincent.
Let's not get it wrong as well. We've got 2 more international goalkeepers sat on our bench.
Bailey, Peacock, Farrell and Hennessy.
They both play international football. So,
if Pope were to go, would you be happy with Hennessy as a number 1 DJ?
Well, based on the performance the other night, I'd say so. Why not? He's got enough experience. He played in Premier League with Palace. I'd give him a run in Championship. Why not? I wouldn't trust Peacock Farrell at all.
No.
And the other lad that was there, Norris, they're terrible goalkeepers.
Yeah.
For that level, for Championship level and even Premier League, no way at all.
Nowhere
But
near
Hennessy, yeah, after the other night, and I think he's old enough and wise enough to do a job. Why not?
I think
I'm resigned to say that I think Pope will leave for his England career. Got the World Cup in November. The club needs the money. They're not going to turn down a bid of 35-40 million.
No, that's what I'm saying. Though,
if
they get
I think at the club at the minute, I think it'd be tough. If I was a club going to look at signing him, I'd be offering 25 million straight away, because I think it'd be tough for Burnley to turn that down in their situation that we find ourselves in. I think you'd be hoping for that 30, 35, 40 million for him. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
anybody else you see going, Deej?
Going?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the list that you've seen, the out of contract players, your Lennons, Eric Peters, you mentioned Jack Cork. Bardsley's going to Derby, it sounds like that, with Wayne Rooney. So those are the sorts of players I mentioned that are a bit deadwood, a bit out of the picture, if you will, aging a bit. No disrespect to them. We need a fresh approach. So I'm not too bothered about them leaving. I'm absolutely shocked and bewildered at Ashley Barnes signing a 1-year extension. You know my thoughts on that.
We've known your thoughts on that for about 4 years now.
I'm baffled. I'm absolutely gobsmacked. Why do I want to watch another season of him up front? Why? Why do fans want that? I don't get it. His loyalty and his loyalty to the club, second to none. Great. Yeah, fantastic. But that as progression for the club, it just isn't.
I don't think he'll play a lot.
Get much game time.
Yeah, he won't get much game time. I don't think. I think it's more just another body on the bench.
What about our two marquee signings then? What about Waghorst and Cornet? Where do we see them two?
I would. They're going to go, and I'd sell them on as soon as possible. The relegation clause for Cornet is far too low. I don't know who negotiated that, because if we're getting 25 million for Chris Wood, why are we only getting 17.5 for Cornet?
It makes no sense, does it?
What is going on there? That is bad management between the agents and the clubs. Possibly because I think we'd get relegated at the time of signing him. I don't know, but 17.5's a snip for somebody as long as they can get the best out of him, and he's going to guarantee goals and a bit of spark. Although I think you could argue the second half of the season he probably struggled, but and
I think Cornet is going to stay.
I think Cornet stays. I think company talks him round and stays.
No way. You've said Pope and Cornet are going to stay in the Championship. What are you talking about? No way. No way.
I'm telling you, a lot of it. I'm telling you, a lot of it is not coming because I don't think they're loyal in the sense of to the club. I don't think they want to play Championship football. But I think when you've got someone of the stature of a man of Vincent Kompany saying, "Give me one season, and we'll get back up. I want to base the squad on you. You're going to be two of my key players." You have a decision to make, and I get that.
But the club's not going to stand in the way of an offer coming in from a Premier League club.
No, I get that, and I understand that.
So I'm resigned to the fact that bids are going to be offered for those sorts of players, and they will go. So I'd put my house on the fact that they won't be in Burnley shirts come August.
And what about Waghorst, our friend?
Has he gone?
I don't know.
He's like, what's that in the background?
I use my phone as my camera, and it brings up a little cat when you're not there.
Yeah, look like that. Yeah, cat's arse.
What about Waghorst?
He can go for me, and he can go with a pretzel in his hand and his hat on. See in a bit.
Yeah, he changed his tune when he got substituted at Watford. He became a really big sulk. Yeah. And that was a shame to see, because you saw, particularly up front with Jay at the beginning, there could have been a spark there, a good partnership, and then Jay got injured and what have you. And then Weghorst weren't getting
Yeah.
arguably the service that he should be getting. But I always remember that Watford game. As soon as he came off sulking, he didn't get a sniff in that team afterwards, and he sulked. So for me, you don't want players in the squad like that. However good they think they are, you know, Dutch international, fair enough, played at the highest level in Bundesliga, but yeah, he didn't deliver for us. So, you know, if we can get some money for him, happy days, we move on, don't we?
I agree. You know, arguably he could be a decent player in the Championship, but it was slower than Chris Wood. I don't know what source went out and found a decent striker and then was like, yeah, this is him. I think we arguably could have.
All Burnley fans were being shown YouTube clips of his best goals, and they were like, "Oh, we've got a worldie here." Right, he were like superb finishing.
Arguably, we could have
like he had a bit of
sign
pace
Diaz
well.
from Bastards at the same time and brought him in. Or, you know, I said it for a number of years that I think we should have tried going to Fulham and nicking their striker, and then look what he's done this year. You know, he's just broken all Championship records. Yeah, he might not have done it in the Premier League.
That's what I was going to say.
But he did score. He scored more goals than him in half a season.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and we probably only needed 5 goals out of him.
Would they have Chris Wood back?
Would you have Chris Wood back in Championship with us?
No.
I'd rather have Ashley Barnes.
No. Whoa, hang on. No. I'd rather have Swansea get promoted, but that's not going to happen.
We'll see about that. Right, lads, it's coming to the end. So let's wrap it up. I want to thank you both for tonight's show.
Pleasure. Enjoyed it.
It's been a pleasure. I'm looking forward to the next predictions of when Youngie sneaks his Swansea out of the way and puts someone else in
Swansea shirt on.
I'm not going to change my predictions. I'm sticking with mine.
Yeah, I'm going to
stick with them even after signings and stuff. You haven't put Burnley in there.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with
season ticket holder, and you're not putting your own club to get back promoted to Premier League. That's
no, I don't think so. I'm
gonna stick with man. But yeah, thank you both. It's been good. I like these heated debates we get. What are you talking about? All right, DJ.
Thanks, guys.
Right, guys. Well, thanks very much, and we will we'll get together again in a couple of weeks. All being well.
Cool.
Peace.
See you later, lads.
See you later. Bye. Bye.